Good afternoon to all of you. So, we have gathered here today not to study anything, but rather to understand what to study and why to study. Now, you see that first, how many of you here are totally clear with their optional choice? Raise your hands. How many of you? So, only a few. That's what I wanted. I wanted the confusion to prevail. Now, look here. That the first question that must arise in my mind is, why the buzz around optional? Why is everyone is talking about optional? And why optional has become the game changer? Why everyone is looking for the best choice with respect to the optional subject, and the result speaks for themselves. Now look here, you will see that when it comes to the civil services main examination, it's a written part. The main examination has two parts, the written part and the personality test. So I'm talking about the written part. You would see that there are subjects like GS1, GS2, GS3. I'm talking about those subjects which are counted for generating the merit, GS4, and then you have the essay paper, and you have two optional papers, which is optional paper 1 and optional paper 2. Now, look here. This is what, if you analyze the previous year's results, especially from the year 2013 onwards, when UPSC amended its syllabus, introduced new GS papers and eliminated one option. We're clear with that? You would see one thing, that if you look at those whose rank are between first to say 200, it means most of the top scorers, you will see one thing, that when it comes to GS1, GS2 and GS3, there is not much of difference in their marks. It means AIR 1 and suppose AIR 100 have at best difference of say 20 to 25 marks per paper. Saying that is their difference at best, I am saying. And if you take the average for all the three papers, you will not find it more than 30, and you can look it for yourself if you want to. Whereas when it comes to essay and the ethics paper, this goes as high as 50 to 55. But when you look at the difference that optional is creating, you will see that it goes as much as 150 to 200. And you can understand that your optional choice therefore determines the probability of success that you will have in the examination. Choosing the optional therefore becomes very critical. Also, optional is such a choice which you cannot change very frequently. Once you have chosen it, you have read for any number of say months or even years, then it is really hard to realize some point later in time that I have made a wrong choice and hence I must shift. Then all the work that you have done is undone immediately. Also, it puts you at a relative disadvantageous position. Isn't that so? And that's why choosing optional becomes very, very critical. So you see that everyone is therefore talking about which optional to go for. Why? Because of the weightage that optional has in the overall results. Also, you will see, this is not a coincidence that all those, I am saying generally speaking, all those, if I think from the year 2013 to say 2018, all the results, and I'm not going beyond that, because the syllabus was totally different. There were two papers, two GS papers, two optional papers, everything was different. So we must not bother ourselves to situations that prevailed prior to 2013. But when you look for these 6 years in continuation, this is not a coincidence that you will find find that all those who are in the top 10 have scored big in the optional. Why? Because optional is the game changer. It is not, you cannot take a significant lead in the GS papers or in the essay papers. Though GS4 and essay gives you a better lead when compared to GS1, 2 and 3. But optional gives you a magnificent lead. It makes the game for you. And one who does bad in optional breaks the game for that person, irrespective of your performance in GS. Even if you get into the interview, you clear the cutoff just by 1 or 2 marks. The mains cutoff, I am talking about that. And when you give your interview, suppose you score 210 also in interview, you get the last rank like 1000 something like that. And those who have done excellently well in optional, and if they end up getting like 165 to 180, there are many students who are IAS today by getting just these many marks in the interview. Why? Because they have done excellently well in their optional. So let us first address this basic issue, that why optional is important and why everyone is talking about optional, because the results speak for yourself. Forget about everything else. Forget about the notions, forget about the perceptions, forget about the prejudices. Also forget about the talk that happens all over the market. But what is important? The important thing is the result, and the results speak for itself. That you will find that all those who have done excellently well in optionals, they have scored big in the examination. So that is our first question of the day, that why optional is important, because optional is the game changer. Are you clear with that? Now the second question, the most important one, that how to choose an optional. This is perhaps a more relevant question with respect to that question, because all will agree that this is more or less easy to understand. But to answer this question is very difficult, that how to choose an optional. Why it is important to make the right decision with respect to optional is this, because you want to get selected. But how to make that decision? Which optional should I go for? Now you see that when it comes to UPSC examination, you would see that students, they come from diverse educational backgrounds. Some of them are science graduates, some engineers, some doctors, some social scientists, some other graduates in different subjects. So all of them flock together for the UPSC examination. Also one more thing, you see that UPSC offers you a plethora of optional, which includes subjects like agriculture to maths, botany to everything. Are you understanding this? It means there is an array of spectrum which is open, but yet you would see that there are 6 to 7 optional which regularly feature, and you talk with most of the people and you will find that they are one among the 6 or 7. Why they are choosing such optionals? There must be some reason behind it. Are you understanding this? And marks may not be the only reason, because for example, if you talk about marks, there would be nothing like an absolutely scientific subject like mathematics. Mathematics can give you full marks, but then everybody should go for mathematics. Even engineers from IITs are not taking mathematics. They are not going for mathematics, rather they are going for some other optional. I am not saying that they are not going, but most of them are not going for it. It means marks, though, is an important criteria, there are other factors too that decide which optional to go for. Isn't that so? Now what are they? Look here. The first thing that, the first thought that should go on in choosing an optional is the optional's relevance. Now, how relevant is the optional throughout the examination? Think of this, that if everyone, there is a weightlifting competition and everyone is lifting say 145 kgs, this is the target for everyone to lift, and suppose when it is your turn to lift, this is what you do, that you add 20 more kgs to it. Do you increase your chances of winning the competition or decrease the chances? Decrease the chances. It means that whatever optional that you choose must come from within the overall things that are there in the option, in the examination. It means the entire syllabus and the optional syllabus must have some relevance. What do I mean by that? I mean that, see, first thing that must bother you is how this optional will help me in the preliminary examination, because every optional will help you in mains examination. How will this optional help me in the preliminary examination? That's the first question. Second question is, how will it help me in the personality test or the interviews, as you know it? This is one kind of relevance. Relevance in the pre as well as relevance in the interviews. Another kind of relevance would be, how much is it relevant for the GS papers and how much is it relevant for the essay paper. This is another way of checking relevance. Are you clear with that? Now, let me first try to understand this, that with respect to pre and with respect to personality test, whether there is any relevance of geography. And then we'll try to understand that with respect to the GS papers and with respect to essay, is there any relevance of geography? That would be our first quest today. The second question that you should ask yourself before choosing an optional, this is a smart decision. So the second question that you should ask yourself is, do I have the resources? Are there resources available? Now, what do I mean by resources? Resources means books, notes, or even a mentor. Can be anyone, even you can be your own mentor. Are you clear with that? So, there is a mentor. The job of a mentor is to give you a feedback regularly with respect to your preparation, that whether you are moving on the right track or not. So, this is what we mean by resources, and we'll check that how geography fares as far as this question is concerned. The third thing that you must keep in mind is reward. How much reward is it giving you? Reward you can see in two ways. First is the number of interview calls that students of geography get with respect to other optionals, and we must check the total final list or the final reward selection. What is the selection percentage of geography? Are you clear with that? So these are the three important questions that you must ask yourself. Let us understand one by one. See, from 2011 onwards, when the preliminary examination was amended, the preliminary examination for civil services as well as the forest services are now jointly held. That's true. There is a common paper for civil services as well as forest services. How many questions in the preliminary examination? How many? 100 questions. And if there is forest services, will there be environment? Will there be environment? So you would see that this is a general feature, that there are at least 15, or you can say 12 to 15 questions from environment. Is geography a part of the GS paper? Yes. So therefore geography also has nearly 10 to 12 questions. So let me take this, let me take the upper brackets, 15 and 12, 15 from environment, 12 from geography. Then you see one more thing, that is agriculture a part of the preliminary test? Agriculture, it features both in the economy section as well as in the geography section. So you see that there are at least 2 to 3 questions from agriculture. In fact, the question which we are talking here from geography is actually the physical geography of the world and the physical geography of India, as well as human geography of world and human geography of India. you will see that environment and ecology is actually a small component of the 5th unit of first paper of part A of geography, which is environmental geography. If you do this unit, then you can answer all the 15 questions that will feature in the preliminary examination. I am talking about the conceptual questions. Current affairs also you have to keep yourself abreast with it. Geography obviously you can answer if geography is your optional. It means it enhances your chances. Agriculture is actually a unit in your geography. So when you add this, how much it comes out to be? Can I say it comes out to be 30? And suppose if you answer all of them correctly, how many marks are you scoring? 60. And you see in the last pre, the cutoff was something, or in most of the pre, the cutoff has hovered between 106 to 98. So out of that, how many your optional is giving you? 60. Are you clear with that? That is the relevance of geography, at least in the preliminary examination. Let's come to the interviews. When you go for the interviews, there are general questions about urban planning, which is part of your regional planning geography. There is question about agriculture, which is part of geography again. There is question about industry, which is part of geography again. There is question about monsoons, which is part of geography again. And you can understand that agriculture you cannot answer without having knowledge about monsoons. Isn't that so? Also, you see one more thing, that most of the time they would ask you about something about your district. Like for example, its soil, its natural resources, why it is underdeveloped. All of these questions can be answered if you have thorough knowledge of geography. What kind of geography? The physical geography and the human geography of that area. Are you understanding this? So when it comes to interview, you would see that a lot of questions from geography are asked to even people who do not have geography as their optionals. And that's why you see that as far as the stages of the examination is concerned, in the pre-examination there is a handsome stake of geography, because environmental ecology and agriculture are subcomponents of the geography optional. Are you understanding this? Similarly, when it comes to your personality test or the interviews, you would see that there is a great chance that you would be asked something about your hometown, something about your district, something about your state, or with respect to urban planning, or with respect to the economy. Now you tell me, can you talk about the growth of cotton textile industries without cotton agriculture? You cannot. And can you talk about cotton agriculture without the climate, without the soil, and without any knowledge of the physical features? No, you cannot. So geography is at the base. Are you understanding this? Now geography helps you in understand why certain things appear in certain places. Like Mumbai has grown handsomely because of its port location. Or you see all the major economic towns of the world, be it Sydney, be it Mumbai, be it London, are either ports or inland ports, or Kolkata, which is connected by the Hooghly river. Isn't that so? So there is definitely location is playing a factor, and location is a concept or subject matter of geography. Isn't that so? So geography helps you in understanding almost every important thing. Like what? Why the population is like this? Why the industries are here? Why the agriculture is suffering? What kind of urban planning is required? How to manage resources? How to promote sustainable development? It means that geography has a great chance that there will be some or the other questions from geography in the personality test. So I understand that when it comes to preliminary as well as when it comes to personality test, nothing beats geography. Also one more thing, that when it comes to preliminary test, perhaps there is no other subject which has more relevance than geography. And I have not counted the current affairs portions of geography, which can go up to 10, and you can understand in this case the total marks go up to 80. 80 out of 98. So you can understand that that is the strength of geography. Okay, let me answer the second part of this question, that how much geography is relevant in GS and how much is it relevant in essay. When I say GS, let me break it down to GS1, GS2, GS3 and so on and so forth. Now look here, that in GS1 it is a 250 marker paper. Now in 250 marker paper, now think of this, that there is world history, there is modern Indian history and art and culture, there is society, there is geography. This is what constitutes your, and obviously there is post-independent India. This is what constitutes your total paper. Now out of this you would see that out of 250, nearly 120 every year comes from geography. It means how many subjects? World history, modern Indian history, post-independent India, art and culture, society and geography. 6 subjects constitute how many marks? 250. Out of this, geography gives you how many? 120. So you can understand the rest 130 is divided between 5 subjects. So you can understand what is the share of per subject. And if your optional is geography, you can score big here. Now you tell me, in this 120, if you end up scoring even 65, in the rest 130, can you score 45? 110 are excellent marks in GS1. And I am assuming a very bad performance in both the cases. Are you understanding this? And if this goes better, and you can understand that your chances, they increase as far as your optional is concerned. So do you understand that how much relevant is it in GS1? Because GS1 specifically talks about geography. Also, one more thing. Let me tell you, this is the explicit importance of geography, but there is an implicit importance of geography as well. Like for example, in 2014 CSM main examination, there was a question in history that most of the Indian battles were fought at Panipat. Why only Panipat? Have you heard about the first battle of Panipat, second battle of Panipat? Why not Sonipat? Why not Rohtak or some other area? Why only Panipat? Why Panipat was chosen? Now look here, the answer to this question, though the question was a question of history, but the answer to this question was geography. Look here, what do I mean to say? That this is how, as you go from the east to the northwest, this is how the topography of the country, the northwest, and go to Afghanistan and all those kind of areas, very hilly. And again, as you come towards the subcontinent, you can understand that you are about to enter the plains of Hindustan. Isn't that so? The Ganga Yamuna plains, the Indus plains. Panipat is the gateway to enter the plains of Hindustan. Now tell me that most of the invasions that happened in India happened from Central Asia, like starting from the Hunas, Shakas, Kushanas, Turks. Every invasion happened from the Central Asian region, and Central Asia has good what? Horses. Now you tell me, if you are fighting on horses, what do you want? Do you want a hilly terrain topography or plain lands? Plain land, because then you can run your horses and you can swing your sword. Are you understanding this? And only when you win the battle at Panipat, it opens the doorways for the plains of Hindustan. And that's why whoever won Panipat ruled India. Be it Babur, Akbar, or even the third battle. Are you understanding this? At least it decided who will not rule India and opened the gateways for British. Remember Ahmad Shah Abdali and the Marathas, the 1761 third battle of Panipat. So I'm talking about, that's why the question was full history, but the answer was totally geography. And those who have written only history, they have not got anything. Are you clear with that? That is why you would see that in GS paper 1 also, there is relevance of geography even in the historical portions. You cannot understand history without understanding geography. Now if I tell you World War I, World War II without showing you the map of Europe, will you understand anything? When I say Germany or Britain or France or Poland, you understand that these are countries. And you can understand that if you do not have any idea about the mapping or about the how continents are placed over the world, then you would not understand very basic concepts. International relations, like for example, are you hearing about this, that Iran is saying all the time that it will close down the Strait of Hormuz. Suppose you don't know what is a strait, what is a bay, or what are these things, and you have lack of knowledge of geography, can you understand international relations? No, you cannot. That's why geography becomes important in GS paper 2 as well. In GS paper 2, there is a weightage of international relations at least 50 marks. And out of this international relations, you can understand a lot of international relations are nothing but offshoot of geopolitics. And geopolitics means the politics is driven by geography. Are you understanding this? And that's why you see that all those who have geography as their optional, they generally tend to do good in the IR sections. So let me take account of it. So I'm saying 120 marks explicit, though there is implicit understanding of it in history sections too, in GS paper 1, and nearly 50 marks in GS paper 2, the international relation portions. Now think of this, let me go to the GS paper 3. Now GS paper 3, out of 250 marks, 50 marks are from agriculture alone, like cropping pattern, crop distribution, food processing, and all those kind of things, animal rearing. You see that that is nothing but your geography paper 1 part B 3rd unit. It is also a unit in Indian geography. So if you can do that, then you can understand that you would get at least say like 50 marks in GS3. It means agriculture becomes very easy for you. It becomes a joke for you, in fact, the GS agriculture, if you are well versed with the optional geography agriculture part. Are you clear with that? Also in GS paper 3, there is a near weightage of 50 marks to environment and ecology, which is again a part of geography. So you can understand that you can just add 50 marks in this too, where no other optional has such kind of relevance with respect to the GS papers. And when you look at this, like for example, even in the GS paper 3, a good portion is economy, and you will see that you cannot understand or you cannot answer basic economic questions without knowledge of geography. So you must have some knowledge of geography. Like for example, if you are thinking about road transport infrastructure building, can you neglect geography? Can you build roads over the ocean? No, you have to consider geography. Do you want some idea with respect to natural disaster for disaster management? Do you want it? And disaster management is a part of again your GS paper 3. Internal security and disaster management comprises nearly 50 marks. Out of that, 25 marks are disaster management. So you can add 25 marks more, where you will get a chapter. There is a chapter economic environmental hazards in geography and contemporary issues, which covers the entire disaster management part, save the government parts, like which is the organization of NDRF and all those kind of things, because that is more or less a part of your GS paper 2. Are you understanding this? Now if you just calculate, it is how much? 295. So you can understand that out of your 4 papers, which is 1000, 295, it means almost more than one paper has the weightage of geography. Are you understanding this? So you have 500 marks of geography and 295 marks. Also you tell me, let me check the relevance in essay. If there is an essay on environment, do you require geography? Climate change, do you require geography? Population, demography, do you require geography? Urban planning, do you require geography? Yes. So there can be a chance that you end up writing both the essays from geographical knowledge. So we can also very safely, at our best positions, we can add 250, at least 125 you can add any day, but 250. And if this is the situation, now tell me, it is more than 1045, isn't that so? 1045 out of how many? 1700 something, your total marks. Are you understanding this? It means 1000 marks GS, 500 marks optional, and 250 marks essay. So it is how much? It is 1750. Out of 1750, your optional gives you 1045. There is no other optional which does it. That's why you would see since 2013, there is a lot of people who are shifting to geography, even when they had something else in mind. Why? Because of its absolute relevance in the examination. No other optional will give you this much of it, and I have not counted the implicit areas like in economy as well as in history, and there you can add 50 more marks to it if you like it. Are you clear with that? So does geography pass the relevance test? Yes, very handsomely. Look here, resources. Now think of this, that think of the books. There are numerous books on geography, and every shop you enter or every store you go and you ask for a geography book and you will get it immediately, or you ask for a geography note, you will get it immediately. What does that signify? It signifies only one thing, the popularity of the subject. Are you clear with that? It means the stores have books in huge numbers, the pure concept of demand and supply. So there is great demand in the market, and why people are demanding? Because it is giving them reward. Are you understanding this? अब समझ लो ऐसा कोई ऑप्शनल है, मैं जाकर बोलूं वहां पर कि ये बुक निकाल कर देना, बोले ये तो है ही नहीं, कभी नाम ही नहीं सुना हमने. It means that maybe people are not looking for that optional so much so. Are you clear with that? So geography has a plethora of books availability in the market, which gives an indication. Try to read it, and it gives the indication to you that geography is an extremely popular optional, and that's why people are looking for geography all the time. That's why you see that geography is good with respect to resources. With respect to notes also, there are a lot of notes available on geography, and there are many good mentors with respect to geography. So what I'm trying to say is, as far as the resources is concerned, there is no dearth of resources with respect to geography. Like suppose I have a lot of interest in one optional XYZ, but I'm not getting access to any resources. My interest will not make me qualify the examination. I have to get access to material which I can learn from, and if there are no material and no standard material, then definitely I am in wrong territory, and I must set my house in order if I want to qualify the examination within short period of time. हाँ 5-6 साल का 5-year plan है तो अलग बात है, but if you want to crack it the very first time that you will be appearing for the examination, you cannot make such bad decisions with respect to optional choice where you do not consider the resource availability in the market. Resource is both the material resource as well as the human resources. Are you clear with that? Like the mentor is a human resource. Similarly, now think of this reward. If there is so much of relevance, then geography must be giving reward. 2014 AIR 1 Era Single is from geography. 4th ranker Soumya Pandey 2016 geography again. You see that out of the top 10 from the year 2013 to 2018, there are at least 2 to 3 from geography every year, because of so much of relevance of geography. And you see how many optionals, there are more than 25-30 optionals. When you include the literature, it goes much beyond, isn't that so? And out of that, say 100 IAS, out of that 20 to 25 are from geography every year. Now you can understand that what is the performance that geography is giving. All the other subjects comprise the rest. That is the value of geography, and you would see, like when you talk about 2014, 2016, out of 3,000 students who appeared for the interview, 1,000 plus were from geography alone. In 2014 and 16 this has happened, and you can understand how many optionals. Out of that, these many are appearing for interviews, and out of the total selection also nearly 30 to 40% were from geography. But we should not only think about selection. We should think about performance and rank. Isn't that so? Are you studying for just getting any rank? 1000 rank मिल जाएगा, खुश हो जाओगे? No. Everyone wants to perform well. Are you understanding this? And that's why geography becomes very important for you, because geography is giving you that performance. So you would see that geography passes all the 3 tests: resources, relevance, as well as reward. One more thing, you see that there is a problem with respect to answer writing, and in that also structuring and presentation appear as one of the major issues that aspirants face with respect to answer writing. Geography gives you the opportunity to draw maps, which improves and enhances your presentation and thus fetches you more mark as far as presentation is concerned. Whereas other subjects which are pure social sciences, like for example sociology or history or something like that, you will not be able to draw maps as such. Are you clear with that? Now you tell me that if in UPSC mains examination there is a question which is 20 marker, how much, when you give your best performance, or what do you think that how much can you score, the best score out of 20? Civil services main examination, optional paper, any one question, suppose this is question number 2 which is carrying 20 marks. Suppose someone writes the best and the excellent answer, how much can you score? What do you feel? Maximum score out of 20. What do you feel? 12? And 12 is for what? Excellent and best. In geography paper 2, the first question is map marking, where you can get 20 out of 20 if you do well. Only geography has this option of map marking. Map marking also have nearly 3 to 4 questions in the preliminary examination every year. Are you understanding this? Therefore, you see that geography helps you in scoring big because it can give you better marks. Also, one more thing you see, that what is the problem with respect to social sciences is that social sciences, though you have to write an excellent well answer to get big. What is the problem with natural sciences? They give you good marks, but they are very unpredictable. Like if it's your mathematics paper और एक भी नहीं आया, एक का भी आंसर तो सब गया, खेल खराब हो गया सब कुछ. Are you understanding this? Geography is neither purely social science nor it is purely natural science. It is a special science. Like for example, what do I mean to say by that? For example, think of this, that if I heat this water, what would happen? It would evaporate, and it would happen all the time. It means the result of physical geography is absolute in nature, and this absoluteness gives you the marks. Natural sciences are highly scoring. Whereas think of this, that if people have land, can they grow wheat? Can they grow barley? Can they grow maize? Can they grow even rice? Can you say with approximation, or can you say with total certainty that what will be grown? You say only this by approximation. So human geography, agriculture is a part of human geography, industrial geography, trade transport geography, population geography, regional planning, these are all part of your human geography. Human geography is more probabilistic, whereas physical geography is more absolute in nature. So there is a good balance between human geography as well as physical geography. Physical geography gives you marks and human geography gives you that buffer. Are you understanding this? And that's why geography is doing excellently well again, because of its strange nature, that it is not a social science. If it is a social science, what happens? Like suppose you choose a subject which is purely social science. Most of the time this happens, and suppose you are coming from a BTech background, this is what you do, that you choose it, but after a time you are not you have not been brought up like that. You have a logical thinking mind and you want some absolute laws and some derivations and all those kind of things. But when you see that it is everything is very abstract and everything is very general, then it becomes really difficult for you, because you have to develop the art of writing and you do a overburden on your optional. And when you work more than necessary, it means of your, if you have 1 year in hand, can you dedicate 1 year to optional preparation? Every day you are reading only optional. So you are excellent in optional, but you have not qualifying the preliminary examination. Then what is the use? So when you choose such optional where you do not have interest, or suppose like this, that people from say science or maths or social science, they all have their own preferences while they choose optional. Geography creates a common ground for all. It attracts people from all backgrounds. And specifically, if you have studied science, at least in school, I am saying up to 10th standard, geography becomes excellent choice, because geography is more absolute in nature as far as physical is concerned, more probabilistic in nature as far as human is concerned, and therefore geography equally attracts science graduates and non-science graduates, and all are doing well. Geography also, you should not have any questions in mind that if I have not studied geography, suppose the last time I studied geography was in 10th standard, will I be able to compete in UPSC? Yes, very well, because the UPSC geography, you will understand, is very logical. It is very conceptual. There is no by-hearting, and even if there is something, like for example, if Singapore is an entrepot, I cannot do anything about it. Or if suppose for example that rice is the staple food of South India, that you have to keep in mind. But you can have geographical reasoning behind it, that why rice is the staple food, because rice require high temperature, high rainfall and deltaic soil. All of them are present in South India, and that's why rice becomes the staple food of South India. So there is a geographical reasoning behind it. So the subject is fully conceptual. It does not require any by-hearting part. And even if there is geographical reasoning behind it. Are you clear with that? So that's why geography attracts a lot of science and non-science graduates equally, because of its relevance, the resource availability and the reward that it fetches for you, and its weightage in the overall examination. No other optional, tell me one optional which can give you such weightage, and that's why geography is known as the evergreen optional. It is known as the king of the optionals, because no other optional will give you that much of reward that geography can give you, if done well and prepared well. Also one more thing, geography can be prepared in 4 months. It would not require more than 4 months to prepare geography, provided that you do all the things on time. Are you clear with that? Then it will not take you beyond 4 months. One more thing, the last thing that we will discuss now is how we would go along with geography. The first thing is, I would assume that you know nothing. That is my assumption. And I'll start from A, B, C of geography. Are you clear with that? Every unit that we complete, there will be a test. And also, as we finish everything, there will be 2 comprehensive tests, one from GS paper 1, your geography paper 1, and the other one from geography paper 2. Every class will carry some questions at the end of the class which you should write, and there will be classes which would be dedicated to map marking. Simply put, my focus here would be the conceptual clarity, and be with me that whatever we will learn in the class, and if you can, I will dictate you everything. And the thing that you would get, the material that you would create by writing in the class, that would act as a Bible for you. That would be everything with respect to geography. You would not be required to read anything else as far as geography is concerned. But over and above that, the institute will also provide you a set of booklets with respect to geography, which is a compendium, or is a, you can say, compilation of different standard books that are there in geography. It is not an original work, but it is a compilation of all the important things in geography. In UPSC preparation, you must not refer books like books, but you must look at them like references. Like for one topic, a book can be good, while from the other topic, for the other topic, another book can be good. So what has been done here is to reduce your workload. The entire syllabus has been divided into 10 to 12 booklets. 10 to 12 booklets, the notes and the writing, along with the map marking classes. If this is done very diligently for 4 months, and at the end of the day, at the end of our session, what we will do is we will try to solve the last 15 years question paper in the class. And if we can do that, it means it is complete. How can you gauge yourself that you can do a subject or not, whether you can answer that or not? Are you understanding this? So if that is done, then we can have, definitely we improve our chances in our final selection. Also one more thing, you see that geography is that subject which keeps it 145 kgs. In fact, out of 145 kgs, you can say nearly 100 kgs is geography. Are you clear with that? Look at the results, they speak for themselves. But over and above all, while you choose your optional, not only apart from the 3 R's, it means the relevance, resource and reward, you should think about the I. I means you or interest in the subject. Are you clear with that? Now, many would feel that though this is looking very good, but I do not have interest in geography. How do I develop interest in geography? Now you tell me one thing, that interest is not something that you carry from the womb. It's not something like that, but you develop with time. And why do you develop interest? Like suppose most of the Indians have interest in cricket, but many of them do not have interest in golf. Why? Because we do not understand the rules mostly about golf and we have not played the game. Are you understanding this? Interest will develop when you start understanding it. Like when you go to other social science subjects, like for example, think about, though I am not negating any optional, all optionals have their own beauty, but most of the social science optional you would see that ऐसा हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है. This is what is the situation. It can happen, cannot happen, but in geography it happens more often than not happening. Are you clear with that? Because geography has an absolute nature associated with it. So the classes will commence from the first week of September and it would be a 4-month intense classes with respect to geography, and in 4 months before we are about to start our revision for the preliminary examination, we will be done with our optional. What kind of thing? We would have written everything, we would have done the writing practice, we would have learned everything, we will be giving regular tests and everything will be sorted before you start your preparation for the pre. I am not saying before you go into the preliminary examination, so that between the gap, like say one thing, that between say the preliminary examination and the main examination, nothing can be read new, only things can be revised. You must be done with your preparation by April, or to be more precise, you should be done by your preparation by February, so that March, April you can revise for the prelims, and when you give your examination in May, June, July, August, September, you can revise for your optional as well as the GS main section and you do the writing. Are you clear with that? This is also the time when you should read ethics and essay, because it would be extra burdening you now. Are you clear with that? But that's why you see, that is why geography becomes such a beautiful subject to choose for. Are you clear with that? So I open the floor for your questions. If you have any, you can ask me. With respect, yes. The classes would be 6 days a week with 1 day off. Now, if suppose there is some holiday or something like that, Dashera, Diwali, on those kind of holidays, then we will conduct extra classes to compensate for that. Clear? Because our aim is to complete the subject within 4 months. Because if we overstretch it, then we may have effectiveness, but we will not have efficiency. Are you understanding this? Like suppose I am a very good cook, and suppose I have called all of you to my home for a meal, and I have called you that come to my place at 12 o'clock, I will serve dinner for all of you, and all of you have come at 12 o'clock, but it is 8 in the night, yet I am cooking, and think of this, then I serve it. It is beautiful. Most of the people would have left, or those who are eating must be cursing me from inside that lunch ko dinner bana diya. Are you clear with that? So our aim is to not only learn efficiently, but also to learn in a time bound manner. So the classes generally will be 6 days a week, and optional classes, its length would be 3 hours. But believe me that in these 3 hours, If you read very diligently, you would have to dedicate only 2 hours. As you go back, everything will be complete. Every day's work will be complete. We'll cover all the parts of the syllabus, the nook and corner of the syllabus. Now, the syllabus has some explicit part and syllabus has some implicit part. Now, one question which aspirants generally have is, or doubt generally have, the syllabus is very vast with respect to geography, whereas other syllabus are very small. Now, let me tell you something. Suppose if I ask you, tell me something about the politics of 1990s of India. This is question number 1. Question number 2 is, tell me something about politics. Which answer is more difficult to write? Tell me something about the politics of India of 1990s. I am specifying everything. Indian politics, 1990s. Suppose you have, assume you have subject matter for everything, and then I say, tell me something about politics. What politics? Indian politics, Pakistani politics, world politics, geopolitics, which era? It creates a lot of confusion, isn't that so? Or if I say, tell me something about the climate of India, will that answer be short? Or if I say, tell me something about India, what? Culture, geography, economy, polity, history, kya batana hai? Are you clear with that? When the syllabus is very detailed, it would be long. Tell me something about the climate of India is much bigger in length than tell me something about India. When the syllabus is short, there's a great chance of more implicit questions being asked. That's why you see that maybe public administration people are not very happy with the syllabus, because a lot of questions are being asked. They feel that that is out of syllabus, but that is not out of syllabus. It is the implicit portions of the syllabus. But as far as geography is concerned, you would see that there is very less of implicit, hidden or latent part in the syllabus. Most of the things are on the face. One very more important thing about geography is, as far as optional is concerned, that yes, current affairs is important, but it is not such a great thing to ponder upon. It means it is not so much difficult to prepare. Like if you have political science as your optional, then international relations is fully current. Isn't that so? So geography has current, but the current is not so dominating as far as mains is concerned. So it means you can beforehand guess a lot of questions, and you would see that most of the questions that we have done in the class have featured in the examination. Like last year, I will tell you that those who did the writing thing with me, nearly we got 15 to 20 questions out of the say 35 or 40 plus questions. Out of 15 to 20 questions were directly from what we discussed in the class. But you see one more thing, that I am not the kind of person who would say that whatever we do in the class will come in the examination. Whatever we do in the class, perhaps nothing will come in the examination. But I will give you 100% skill to handle anything in the examination. Are you clear with that? Rather than doing you some spoon feeding, and मतलब हर दिन मैं आपको कवर ड्राइव खेलना सिखा रहा हूँ और मैच में बाउंसर आ गया तो सर पे खा के गिर जाओगे. So you should learn all the tricks of the trade. The point is that it is a very beautiful subject. It is a very interesting subject. It has huge relevance in the GS paper. The GS becomes fun then, because you would see that if you do geography well, you not only do well in geography, but you do well in economy, you do well in environment. All good geographers are good economists, and all good economists have some knowledge about geography, because both are interrelated. Have you heard about socioeconomic geography? So that's why you see that there is a very good connection between geography and your selection. Any other questions that you have with respect to geography? Yes.
You are sitting in an UPSC interview,
Huh.
and then they ask you that you have to give 3 reasons why an aspirant should not took geography as an option.
Huh.
What will be your answer?
Why?
Why an aspirant should not took geography as its option?
Should not take geography. Like for example, one, he has an excellent background of literature. Like for example, he has won some gold medal in English literature. then choosing geography would be a foolish choice. Second, suppose he does not have interest in the subject, though he feels the subject is very good and is highly scoring, but he does not have interest in the subject. And third, he is a non-serious candidate. These are the three reasons why he should not go for geography. I think that satisfies you. Okay. Yes.
Sir, will you be able to handle this? Like, we'll be having prelims class,
Hmm.
coding will be having options,
Hmm.
so steps we have tried
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Will you be able to handle this?
Now you see, geography is only for 4 months. Clear? And you tell me, is there any gain without pain? No. Also, suppose you crack the examination and become a district magistrate. Maybe in the morning you have to go to a school, in the afternoon you have to go to a hospital, then in the evening perhaps you have to distribute cylinders under the Ujjwala Yojana, and maybe in the night you have a meeting with the Prime Minister on video conferencing. So will you say, आज meeting है, आज नहीं जाऊँगा मैं कहीं? Will you do that? No. You have to be multitasking because you're looking for that nature of job. Isn't that so? That's why don't worry about it. See, it will only, and it is better to do it now. Like suppose, again I'll give you an example of the cricket game. Now think of this, that if in the first 10 overs I score only 10 runs, and if my target is 300 plus, which I am chasing, you tell me that what is the run rate with which now I have to play. I have to be very fast, and when I am very fast, I am reckless. I am playing harsh shots, and there is a great chance that I may get out. Are you clear with that? So you must have a good run rate in the first 10 overs. Isn't that so? If you are chasing a big target. So this is the first part of your preparation, say up to February. From say July up to February, this is the first part of your preparation. Here is when you load yourself with all the burden. After that, you should relax yourself. Are you clear with that? And you can understand that if you have done good, you have maintained good run rate in the early part of the game, then perhaps by the 35th, 36th over, everyone is assured that we will win the game. So when you are assured that you may qualify this year, does that give confidence to you? And confidence creates miracles. Whereas anxiety creates fears, and fear creates nervousness, and nervousness is the reason for failure. Some sort of nervousness should be there, good nervousness, but anxiety कि हाथ पैर कांप रहे हैं कि अब क्या करूं, तो 4 ही दिन बाकी है. Then what we do, we throw our notes. Then perhaps we do this, we take those bullet kind of books and we read only the bullets. Even that seems too much, so we throw that too. Then what we do, we just pick the book and we do this, जो भी खुला जो मिल गया वो पढ़ लेंगे. Just do this for 10 times, and if we have good luck, then we may get some question. Even that seems heavy at times, so you throw that too. Then you go to the temple or the mosque or any place of your choice, and the rest of the preparation is done there in the church. Isn't that so? Because things have gone out of your hand, now the Almighty will look after it. Don't be like that. Clear? So don't worry about it, that as we will move in the classes, it would be very smooth. You are not the first person who is facing these problems. All the toppers, all the people who are already selected in the examination, they have grilled themselves at this time. But if you fear now that बहुत सारा काम है कैसे होगा, तो कभी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि कम काम करना है तो कुछ और प्रोफेशन देखो. Clear? Because if this examination, it garlands you, it makes you to do a lot of hard work, then only men are drawn out of boys and women are drawn out of girls. That separates the best from the rest. Clear with that? Any questions? Any more questions? Okay, so that's it from my side. Thank you very much. Now you look here that I have given you an approach paper. Go today and read this approach paper. Until we begin our classes, what you should do? You should read from 6th to 12th all the NCRTs. Suppose you do not read them and come to the class, then also kuch kharab nahi hoga. But this is just with respect to your awareness, so that you are aware of certain things. Like when I talk about temperature inversion, I'll go from very zero things, and also the different theories on temperature inversion, because this is not GS kind of understanding. But at least if you have heard about temperature inversion, that helps you, isn't that so? So you read this approach paper, and also there is how the class would be conducted. It is written in this, and there are some suggested books that are given to you. No need of purchasing any book now. I will tell you which books to purchase if there is any need. But if you read the notes and you read the booklets, you can answer every question that has been asked and that can be asked. Clear? That's it from my side. Thank you very much.